Well, you know, we appreciate you and everything you do. And we are going to be hurting.
We'll call this meeting to order. This is the regular meeting of the City of Callaway Board of Commissioners. It is Tuesday, August 12, 2025, at 6 p.m. If you will stand with me, Commissioner Pelletier will do the invocation. Commissioner Davis, will you lead us in the pledge?
Lord, we thank you for allowing us to gather today, and we pray for your guidance in making decisions for our citizens in our city. We thank you for our first responders, and we ask you bless them and their families. Please keep them safe and let them go home at the end of their shift. We thank you for our citizens and employees that make Callaway a great place to be, and pray you bless them with peace and success. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
City Clerk, please do a roll call.
Commissioner Davis?
Here.
Commissioner Gray?
Here.
Commissioner Pelletier?
Here.
Commissioner Eggers? Mayor?
Here. Okay, we have a few presentations tonight. First, we have Deputy Kit McKenzie from the Bay County Sheriff's Office doing the July statistics.
I've only got a few things to go over here tonight.
You only be half an hour. That's good.
Anybody need to go to the restroom before I get started? Our stats for the month of July will be 39 accidents, 51 arrests, calls for service were 1,152, citations were 122, miles patrolled 24,765, and our traffic stops were 194. Of those traffic accidents, you'll ask for some additional statistics. We had 8 parking lot accidents. Those involved improper backing, careless driving, and our non-traffic accidents, we had of those, 5 of those occurred at North Tyndall Parkway and Highway 22. 3 occurred right in front of Walmart on Tyndall Parkway, and 3 of them occurred at Cherry Street and North Tyndall Parkway. And the violations that were found during the accident investigation, we had 12 failed to yield right-of-way, 10 careless driving, 6 following too closely, 2 improper backing. We had a vehicle versus dog accident, a bicycle failed to use the crosswalk accident, and a vehicle that hit a mailbox. So basically what I've come up with is y'all can't drive. but that's where we're at. Does anybody have anybody have any questions?
No, statistics prove we can't drive.
Don't look at the deputies, they can't drive either. All right, well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good, thanks.
Okay, next I'm going to turn this one to City Manager to introduce our next presentation.
Yeah, I want to welcome Dr. Jessica Graham. She's with the St. Andrew and St. Joe Bay History Program. I'm sorry, I call her Jessica. Dr. Graham contacted me a couple of weeks ago about the program and just wanted to come and give a quick update. So I said the best place to do is going to be at a commission meeting so everyone can understand what the program is about. So I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you. So thank you so much for the time tonight. This is something that I try to do at each of the commission meetings is to come present about our program and then give periodic updates. I haven't been able to do that here yet, so this is my first time coming before you. So I do appreciate the extra time. The ESTRI program was created, I've been in my position 4 years. It was created prior to that, but it took a long time to get formed. And it was initially funded by the Bay County Commissioners. That was matched with a grant from the Nature Conservancy. And so we got established and we created the book that you all have in front of you, which is an action plan. And part of this is because you can go ahead and do one more click, yes. So the St. Andrew and St. Joseph Bays are economic engines. They provide 160 to 350 million annually in economic revenue, whether that's tourism, flood control, or anything associated with that. We get a lot of visitors to our shores, but about 85% of those visit our waterways, but our bay is the most underutilized resources. And so we're trying to raise awareness of the importance of our bay, as well as things that need to be done to protect it. But it's not just what happens in the water, but what happens on land. So some of our issues that we work on are stormwater, flooding, upland management, so it's all connected. Go ahead and click. So our vision that was set by the policy board is healthy, resilient bays and estuary habitats together with communities. So we are trying to find that balance between the communities and the environment. We're not the group that's gonna come here and tell you you're filling in wetlands and yell and scream at you. We are here to try to figure out how we can work together to be able to develop smarter and to be able to protect our waterways for future generations. So our mission and how we're doing that is collaboration. You can click one more. And so we are a diverse estuary program. We have members from all over, from citizens all the way up to Commissioner Ayers is the representative for Callaway, and we have locally elected officials on our policy board. And we're here to try to understand what needs to happen and then identify projects and get them done. So we're not trying to plan, but actually try to do some dirt moving. Go ahead. So what we did for the first establishment process was that we identified what needed to happen, what are our biggest issues that we're facing, how can we address those issues, and that's what's put together in that book that you have. It's really a blueprint for action. It is still at a broad level, so we are working on identifying the exact projects that need to happen to address those, but it gives us direction. Go ahead. So I put together a little bit of a handout for you, and I just kind of wanted to explain what I put on there. So page 1 kind of gives you just your overview, vision, mission statement. One more click. And then you have the estuary program's desired outcomes and goals. And so this is really what's in that book in much more detail and is much more verbose. But overall, we're trying to have clean, swimmable, fishable waters, functioning ecosystems, stronger, more resilient communities, and a responsible community working together. Our governance, you can do 2 more clicks. Our governance is made out of a 3-tiered structure. This is modeled after the national estuary programs, which are designated. There's 29 now across our nation. And it includes community stakeholders at the bottom that do a lot of the work that then feeds up to a management council. That management council are 18 representatives of diverse perspectives. So we have folks like Alex King, Port of Panama City, St. Joe Company sits on that management council. We have citizens, we have community leaders, Rebuild Bay County sits there. So we're trying to make sure that everything coming out of the committees is not just science and not just community, but a blend between the two. And then they put a different filter on there to make sure that we're representing all the industries in the area. And then that feeds up to a policy board where the voting members are local elected officials. So we've been busy trying to get some money because everything takes money. So we have submitted 37 grant proposals since 2022. We've supported 12 additional on top of that, and we've requested over $47 million worth of funding for projects. The majority of that request is for implementation projects, although those are not the ones that tend to get funded. So we have been able to secure $8.6 million to date. I actually just got word today that we got another grant for about $200,000. So we are out there trying to pump pavement and get money from the state, feds, anyone, foundations that we can get funds for to do what we know needs to be done in this area. A return on investment from what was invested initially from Bay County is a 1 to 12. So for every dollar that they gave us, we returned that by 12. We have been working with the policy board to identify member allocation methodology, and we've put together allocation tiers. This is something that I'm going around to each of the cities to talk about. And then I just kind of put together an estimated return on investment for Callaway specifically. And I will say that we are a little lower in our engagement in Callaway, and that's something that I'd like to improve in the next year. But grant writing support, we have submitted some grants in partnership with Eddie, Mr. Cook. It's about $7,500 based on the time that I put into that. Indirect project support, so those are things that we've done that benefit the bays, help us understand the area, but aren't directly benefiting Callaway, but it's indirect, is about $4.5 million. So trying to put some numbers for you all. One more slide. And so then I like to put we have a list of projects we want to do. So highlighted projects of what we are doing are on that one side. Wish list projects specific to Callaway are on the other side. So Emmons Bayou is something we've tried to get funded. I've tried twice, no success. I'm not going to give up. Living shoreline implementation along the area to protect some of that and also keep that channel from closing up. We're trying to do an ecosystem-based oyster management plan of how we're going to restore oysters in our bay. We have recent information from FWC that doesn't look promising, so we're trying to figure out why and how we can fix it. And then John B. Gore Living Shoreline Phase 2, you have a living shoreline there already. It's doing fantastic. We're actively monitoring it right now, and then we'd like to do a Phase 2 on that. And then we have some other large-scale wish list projects that I think can help benefit some of what Callaway has. So microbial source tracking. It's where we actually look at the DNA of the bacteria in the water to figure out why it's impaired. So is it from cow, cattle, or cow, pig, bird, or human? And that can help infer what needs to be done. Is it a stormwater issue? Is it a wastewater issue? Or is it a runoff issue? Or other things that might be upstream? And then adaptation plans, we've had some back and forth with Mr. Cook on the vulnerability assessment and trying to be able to implement what is next on that project, among others. One more slide and then I'm done. So this is just an example of something that we've synthesized together for John B. Gore Park when we go out and sample. You can see some of the fish information of what we've caught. We like to call out this little neighbor of the fun stuff that we see that's a little unique to what we normally see. And then the oyster populations that are on those reef structures. And then Emmons Bayou, this is a schematic of what we try to do with the Nature Conservancy. This was sort of what we were trying to get funded, was some living shoreline, spreading out that channel and protecting both sides. So just gives you a snippet of how we're trying to engage, but there's a lot more that can be done. And I'm happy to take any questions, and I, again, appreciate the time tonight.
Anyone have any questions?
Yes, and yes. Water Watch, early on, this may be before you, but we did have Water Watch at one time. We had another program. Paul, you jump in here because
I'm waiting.
you're waiting. Because we were monitoring that. One of our sampling areas was Gore Park. Mm-hmm. There, and H.O. Sutter properties off of that, and those, and several other things that actually I was involved in, thanks to Paul and some others. Very, very active.
Yes. They were really the pivotal. So San Andrew Bay Watch is still active and we work with them. We actually just got a grant that will help fund them for the next 3 years. And so they're very good partners of ours. The Bay Environmental Study Team might be the other group that you're referring to that was even predating San Andrew Bay Watch. And the work that they've all done really set up a great foundation for us to build off of. And that's a lot of what's in that book, that action plan. So we're not reinventing the wheel, or we're trying not to reinvent the wheel. We're trying to build from what they've already done. And I have a lot of the documents at best, especially created.
Well, that's greatly believe in the program, and I was personally involved in Alabama's program and,
Okay, yeah.
and the one here. They don't say a lot about it, but they just believe in it. And I live on the water and believe it. I want to go swimming in that water.
Yes.
Ex-Mayor, Commissioner Frank, what was that program, like the University of Florida, kind of like what he was in? Is that the program was like a water management?
Isn't that what you sit on now, that board? I wasn't Frank on that board, and now Ken has taken this.
Yeah, Frank Mancinelli, that was the
Yeah.
board, yeah.
This is what Ken is on now.
Yes,
Thank you.
thank you, appreciate it.
Well, I just wanted to make a comment. Jessica and her team worked very hard to make this thing go. And we need to commend Florida State University, Panama City for their support and giving them a place to live and work out.
They give us office space.
And they have a board member too.
That's right,
So, thank you, Jessica.
thank you.
Are we looking to bring up the funding that they're requesting, or?
I think that should be done during our budget workshop.
Right, I'm just wondering if that's something that, of course, Eddie's over here very silent when bringing up money here.
I definitely didn't come here to ask for money. I wanted to more orient you to the program since I haven't been able to do that. I will say that we are putting out requests to cities, but that's based on working with the city manager and our representative on the appetite for each city. We made an allocation methodology, but it doesn't hold anyone to anything. So we're really, what we're trying to show to the federal and state governments is that people here have skin in the game because we're trying to get national designation. If we get national designation, that means we get $800,000 annually to do the things that we need to do that are in that book that I provided. So it's more fun for us to do what we know needs to be done, but I really just wanted to orient you all, but I'm happy to answer questions about that specific, or I can come to a budget.
It's hard for us to refuse when we say we're the best of East Bay. That's what my business started. So,
The only thing I would like to know, since you know that's $20,000 what's allocated, that's $20,000 out of these people's pockets. So I know you said some things in here like the living shoreline and John Beagle, but if you could maybe give us very specific projects that are gonna benefit Callaway itself, not just, something in the bay that's gonna impact everybody.
Right, and I think
If we could get information on just specific things in Callaway and, how it's gonna benefit. I know you said there were $7,500 worth of grant writing. Did we get any of those grants?
No, we did not. I know. Unfortunately.
And I'll say this, I've been working with Jessica for about 4 years now.
Yeah.
When she very first came, and she was a huge asset when we did our vulnerability study. And a lot of people don't really understand what that means, but we utilize it for all of our critical structures that comes from buildings all the way to lift stations that are near the water. And they were very instrumental in helping us get that vulnerability study completed, so that we use that actually to get grants.
Yes.
We used it to get the 5 lift stations that we're working on right now. And we applied for another one for 3 more that was due to critical assets based on LNI vulnerability. We did not get that grant, but that was part of the big
Spending on the spillway.
And I actually we've been discussing
Spillway.
how we can do that, because that will affect the bank greatly, what's happening there.
Yes.
And that's something that we need to continue discussing.
Yes, I think that's really where, for me, I need to engage a little bit more on knowing what your issues are and where those issues are. But some of what we've done, I can give an example from Springfield. One of the things that Army Corps came in and did was a hydrologic and hydraulic study of knowing how water's flowing and why it's flooding so bad around Lake Martin. So they had the work done already. We came in and got a $500,000 grant to do preliminary design and engineering for that floodplain. It's in the upper tributaries, and so right now there's a contracted group, EDI, that's going and designing that. They'll get 60% design, and we're managing it along with the city of Springfield. So that's an example of how we can work specifically on specific dirt moving projects but I think I need to
And
do a
Cali
better
is a
job.
tributary to that, by the way.
Right.
On the north end, so we flow over into that.
But it's knowing what your priorities are.
And it's
is
by,
the first step.
a lot of people don't realize we're in it, but I agree, it's in the east. It's all the way, is that right, Bill? All the way down? East Avenue? Is it East Avenue?
Oh, Bertha.
It's at the end of our, it's one street to the west.
Yeah, that little bayou there.
Yeah, that's the bayou, that's in his bayou. And we, staff, after the storm, we had lots of issues, that's trying to seal it in, and we actually have, we have residents on that they're actually taking their boats out, and they're sitting anchored and blowing the soot to silt out, so it doesn't completely get landlocked. And so we need a huge study out there with stormwater and come up with a grant for we've been working on. It's one of the things that
It would have been a couple $1 million that would have gotten to do that one.
Yeah. We were hopeful.
We tried twice.
Yeah, we'll keep trying. We can
Yes.
do that. Eventually they get tired of hearing from us.
Yeah.
I'll take those money.
Yeah.
But, and that's just, and a lot of people don't really, we don't go and talk about that. And that's one of the reasons why I asked her to come, so everybody can get a little bit more educated that we are very involved with that. While Ken sits on the administrative side, I'm down in the boots with her and the engineers and stuff. And we're rooting around trying to figure out what we can do to fix these issues.
Yes.
Right. I think we're trying to put together what the mayor asked for. We've been working on that, I think, for the last month or so. And that's something that Jessica and I talked about a little bit.
If we
need
can
to
have
be
something,
more
if
specific.
we can have something soon, since we're finishing up our budget process, we can have something soon so we can talk about putting something in the budget.
Yeah.
That would be very helpful. Anybody else have any comment or questions? Okay, well, thank you so much for coming and educating us. I'm gonna study this book.
Thank you. Hopefully it's a good read.
So I learn more about it.
It's too big, I'm not reading it.
It's a good read. Just go right through it.
Just mark it.
Okay, our last presentation tonight is Mr. Mike Chapman here by any chance? Okay, Mr. Chapman, if you want to come up, we're going to award you the certificate for the Yard of the Month. Do we have the picture of his yard?
Yeah.
That we can put up? No, but I meant that we can put up here. I know we've got it in the book. That's okay. Anyway, this is the City of Callaway Yard of the Month. The City Commission for the City of Callaway, Florida recognizes and honors Mike Chapman for improvements and beautification to their property with the Yard of the Month Award for August 2025. So your yard looks beautiful. Thank you for beautifying your little corner of Callaway, and hopefully you can be an inspiration to your neighbors around, and they want to live up to your standard. So thank you so much.
Yeah, excellent.
I just want to say that being in retired military, we travel all over. We've been in many neighborhoods, many cities, states, everywhere, and it's been a blessing and a curse sometimes. But when we retired here, and my wife won't come up, but she doesn't recognize that she's so pretty, she causes disturbance everywhere we go anyway. So, embarrassed.
I think you already did.
Decided Callaway was the perfect spot. It's because of our past and current elected officials and our city employees, we absolutely love this place.
Well, I'm
So
glad to hear that.
This really means a great deal. to
Well,
us.
wonderful.
So,
I'm so glad that we did that. Okay, thank you. Okay, we move on to the mayor's instructions. Do we have any additions or deletions to the agenda?
Just to verify, we removed items 3 and 4 at the request of the applicant.
Okay.
And that will be on the next agenda, Bill?
We're not-
September 9th meeting.
Okay. Okay, so, and just a real Reader's Digest version of our public participation rules, since we have a few new faces in the audience. When you can speak on each agenda item, you know, all you have to do when I ask for public participation, just indicate you'd like to speak. Once I recognize you, come up to the podium, state your name and address for the record if you so choose. And then your 3 minutes will start. You have 3 minutes to comment on that particular agenda item. And, you know, like I said, you can speak on each one if you want to. Then at the end of the meeting, we have public participation for any non-agenda item. So, works the same way. Once you recognize, come up, you've got your 3 minutes. So, we'll go ahead and move on to approval of the minutes. We've got the minutes of the July 22nd regular meeting, the July 29th budget workshop, and the August 5th budget workshop. So did anybody have any changes to any of those minutes? And if not, we could do one motion for all 3 sets of minutes.
Motion to approve July 22nd, 29th budget workshop and August 5th.
We've got a motion, we have a second.
Second.
Okay, we've got second. So all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries, and we will go on to our agenda item 1. We will open a public hearing for this item. This is ordinance number 1123, rezoning the property located at 1062 North Tyndall Parkway.
Ordinance number 1123, an ordinance rezoning from commercial and agricultural to service commercial that certain parcels of land lying within the city of Callaway, Florida, containing approximately 2.066 acres, located at 1062 North Tyndall Parkway. Parcel ID 0601811500. All is more particularly described in the body of the ordinance, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, and providing that this ordinance should take effect immediately upon passage.
City Manager, would you or Mr. Fry like to say anything?
Mr. Friday, anything to add?
Nothing has changed.
This is a second reading. I think we beat it up at the last one pretty good.
So, anybody have any question or comment? Nope. Would anybody in the audience like to speak on this item? Not seeing anybody, I would entertain a motion.
Motion to approve ordinance number 1123, rezoning of property located at 1062 North Tyndall Parkway. Final reading.
Second.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second. If there's no discussion, City Clerk?
Commissioner Davis?
Yes.
Commissioner Griggs?
Yes.
Commissioner Pelletier?
Yes.
Commissioner Ayers?
Yes, ma'am.
And Mayor Henderson?
Yes. Okay, we will close the public hearing. We will go on to our regular agenda. Agenda item number 2, ordinance number 1122, no trucks on certain residential roads. City Attorney.
This is ordinance number 1122, an ordinance of the city of Callaway, Florida, amending the city's code related to traffic and motor vehicles, authorizing the commission to prohibit the use of certain streets by certain commercial trucks, providing for exemptions, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict, providing for severability, scrivener's errors, liberal interpretation, modifications, codification, effect on existing terms, and providing for an effective date. And again, this is first reading again. At the last meeting, we did a first reading, but we wanted to make some changes and take out the weight thresholds. And so we had to change the title to take out the word heavy. And so I've talked with Bill and met with him over the last couple of weeks and decided we wanted to list specifically, again, we left in there commercial delivery trucks and construction vehicles, which have 3 or more axles. So it would obviously cover semis and all that. I think one of the concerns might be box trucks, which don't necessarily have 3 axles. So we put a definition there for box trucks and added dump trucks as it's going to be commercial anyway. Obviously, if you're going to work in the neighborhood or something, you see the exemptions in there, paragraph B. So that's pretty much what me and Bill came up with. If you guys want to add anything to it, you're welcome to it. But this is first reading, and we can get it advertised and come back at the next meeting to adopt.
Any comments from the commission? Nope. Are we good with the language changes? I think that.
Did read the streets and things.
Well, when we adopt the ordinance, we will do a resolution.
Okay.
This is just to
That's fine.
enact the first reading of the ordinance, so at the next meeting, we'll do adoption of the ordinance and the resolution, which is just one reading.
You know, I don't have a problem with the ordinance. Section A covers everything that's not allowed. Section B covers everything that's not allowed, but it is allowed. In other words, the same thing that's prohibited in section A is allowed in section B if it's for delivery or actually construction or whatever in there.
On that particular roadway. So, yeah.
On that
We've got
particular
right. So we're trying to eliminate the cut-throughs. So if you're going there and working for the cows, you're going to obviously be allowed to do that.
How's this gonna be enforced?
Sorry, sure. We'll put no truck signs up.
Okay, no truck signs would certainly stop them from doing it. Yeah, absolutely. Like they're doing now.
That's right, just like speed limit signs.
No, I'm just curious because if, for example, the sheriff's department sees a vehicle on one of those roads, prohibited vehicle, they don't know whether it is doing a cut through or whether it's actually involved in some type of delivery.
I think the point of doing this ordinance was so that we could put the no truck signs up, which are, DOT standards, so there's, certain signs. And then if they see a truck on a street that's designated, that says no trucks, they can pull it over. And that person, if they say, hey, we're going to, 1022, whatever street,
Right.
I'm sure the sheriff can verify that. If not, then they give us a citation
Okay, as it is now, we can't put a no truck sign.
without this
The
ordinance.
sheriff can't enforce anything.
Right, we can't let the signs up without this ordinance.
Kip,
Yes, sir.
just do it?
We're just gonna, go with what the attorney said.
We don't have to weigh anything. So you're good.
I'm good with it.
Well, good. Did anybody in the audience wants to comment on the no trucks ordinance? Okay, come on.
Teresa Langston, 63 Walnut Street. The only thing I have to say about it is, I think it's great that y'all wanna pass the ordinance, there are some signs. But the question is who's going to enforce it?
Sheriff's Department.
It's already been said that they're not, he's already given, I don't know how many spills about enforcing it and stuff. Heck, half of the sheriff's department officers that are over here aren't even radar certified to write tickets. So why are we thinking they're gonna stop people on a road that's a truck?
I just want to correct you, you are saying what I said about that, but it was on how it was written the first time, they were written the ordinance.
They didn't want to do the weight.
They took the weight out, the weight was the biggest
So
issue.
any truck, it's gonna say any truck?
It's in here, three more axles or box trucks or dump trucks, so
Okay.
commercial.
Anybody else? Yes, ma'am.
Loretta Akron, 240 Thomas Drive. I have more of a question. How does this affect people who bring their trucks home to park in the neighborhood? Large trucks, that kind of thing. Is that covered in the ordinance? Or occasionally you see somebody's parked their semi-cab in a neighborhood, or they have work trucks that they bring home that they work out of. I know there's an electrical service truck that parks in somebody's, in front of somebody's house, that kind of thing. Does this affect that at all?
No, not really. This is going to affect certain roads. The roads are gonna be named, and it's mostly roads that we're having a problem, like gas trucks, instead of going down to the parkway like they should, they're coming and going down residential roads.
Okay.
Now, I don't know, there may be other ordinances about some of these trucks, like semis parking. I don't think you're supposed to be parking a semi.
I just wondered if that was part of this
That's not part of this, no, but I think there is another ordinance that might address that, but no. This is not gonna, somebody that has an electrical truck that they park at their house, I don't think that's gonna affect something like that, because this is gonna be specific to these roads.
Okay.
And I know Hugh Thomas is not one of them.
No, we do have trucks that come through occasionally, but they're for delivery and exit or whatever.
That's
Okay, thank you very much.
18-wheelers.
Yeah.
Turn the big 18-wheeler truck.
Oh, we've had some of those too.
Anybody else? I don't see anybody, so we're ready for a motion, gentlemen.
Motion to accept ordinance number 1122, no trucks on certain residential roads. Is this first reading?
First reading.
Yeah.
First reading.
Do we have a second?
Yes.
I thought so. Okay, so we've got a motion and a second. If there's no further discussion, city clerk.
Commissioner Griggs,
Yes.
Commissioner Pelletier,
Yes.
Commissioner Ayers,
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Davis,
Yes.
Mayor Henderson.
Yes.
And we will have the resolution with the streets in the next week.
Okay, we'll go on to agenda item number 3, ordinance number 1124, no, I'm sorry, 3 and 4 have been pulled by the applicant. So we will go on to number 5, we'll move right along. Okay, ordinance number 1126, small scale comp plan amendment for Anita Drive in Douglas Street.
This is first reading of ordinance number 1126, an ordinance amending the comprehensive plan of the city of Callaway, acting upon the application of F&P Capital Properties LLC, designating for commercial future land use a certain parcel of land lying within the city of Callaway, Florida, consisting of approximately 1.065 more or less acres. Said parcel is located at Anita Drive in Douglas Street, Callaway, Florida. Parcel ID 06258-010-000, as more particularly described in the body of the ordinance. Amending the city's future land use map for commercial designation for the parcel, repealing ordinances and parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, and providing that this ordinance should take effect as provided by law.
Okay, city manager,
Ms. Fry?
Good evening. So I just want to point out that this is a request to change from multifamily high density to service commercial ultimately in our next item. I know these tend to cross together, and we're looking at small scale comprehensive plan amendment, the future land use map. So the first step is to get the future land use map in line, which has a general designation of commercial. There's no intensity levels for the future land use map on this item.
How they gonna get from Tender Park Place to that property?
You don't.
Helicopter?
So that'd be Martin Court and then Anita Drive.
That would go against our road thing.
Yeah. I drove down there. This is nothing more than what we disapproved a while back when it, North Gate. You gotta go through a residential area to get to this area. Of course, I know at one time that piece of property was commercial, but it's no longer commercial, it's residential. And, we've not, I don't support this because you're talking about commercial vehicles going through a residential area. That's the only way in here. There's no other way.
Plus it's surrounded by
Two-way.
residential. There's houses all around this thing.
Right.
So,
All residential. There's no way to get from this property from Tyndall Parkway. So this is the same as what we just disapproved a while back on North Gate. And they had a joint, abutting, commercial property also.
and I would think you just violate our new ordinance with a tractor trailer trying to get back there and stuff for a large vehicle.
Well, it would have to be designated. But it's not the large vehicle issue, it's the issue of, again, if we're gonna stay with what we've been doing and keep commercial properties out of residential areas, to me, this is another good example. It's in a residential area. I understand it's high density, but at some point, they wanted to convert it, it's converted, And to me, that's where it should stay. That's my opinion.
I should mention Sean McNeil is here to answer any questions we may have also.
Am I crazy? I thought that thing had an access road at one time. Maybe it was just there, but it didn't belong.
Before Slim Chickens all came in, it probably did. But with the development of Slim Chickens and the car wash, I think that went away. Mayor, I believe Sean would like to speak.
Yeah, that's fine. Come on.
Thank you. Good evening. Thank you for being here. Sean McNeil, Beacon Federal Engineering, 475 Harrison Avenue, Tampa City, Florida. Representative applicant. Just one comment. I certainly don't want to get into an argument about what is zoned here, whatnot. But we're looking at the future land use map. If you go down Martin, all of the properties to the north of that is commercial. And this is abutting the subject property. There are residential properties there, but future land use goes, there's commercial on one side of the road all the way to this particular property now marked to the details.
Do you know what the intended use is if they want to switch to this commercial designation?
We put together a conceptual plan for them. There's got a couple of 8,000 square foot buildings that are warehouse office type. So in line with the service commercial. Also service commercial is your lowest, no, we're not in zoning yet, but is your lowest zoning thing, or high density residential, your highest residential. So these are very close together. And as far as traffic goes, it will depend on what the use is, but if you put in high density residential and you max that out, as you max out commercial with a service warehouse, the total traffic count will be very similar. But there are, I will say, there are service commercial allowed uses in your code that will have more traffic than high density residential. So I appreciate y'all weighing that. Thank you.
And this is to be, it just says commercial, but if they want service commercial, correct?
Right now, it's just future land use.
Okay, so future land use is just commercial.
Yeah, we tend to blend them together.
Land use first.
Right. Y'all have, I'm sure somebody
I've
has,
already had my opinion. I don't support it.
anybody else have any comment or question?
Well, when we changed this from commercial before, we went to a high density, which was, as a matter of fact, one of the conversations I recall related to that, related to the height of it, how many stories you can be on that they'd be putting in there. But to me, the high density surrounded by commercial, which the property is, would be, the only thing that I think somebody would be interested in doing, because they're basically in a rental high density situation when we went to that. Now, if they're not going to be doing that particular project, here's this property that's surrounded by commercial, and even though it comes off this property, it doesn't have to go through the neighborhood. It can go over here to the other road to hit Temple Parkway. It doesn't have to be going through the neighborhoods. So, as a matter of fact, that would probably be the only way to be going. It would not be, I can't see them commercially weaving through the residential properties over there. So basically, very honestly, all I can see this property is really good for would be commercial, and if it's in the small business side, there's not going to be a lot of traffic there anyway. So I'm not opposed to making the change, particularly to service commercial when we get into the next side.
Any other comments from up here? Anyone? Would anybody in the audience like to comment on this item? Not seeing anybody. Would someone like to make a motion?
Make a motion to approve ordinance 1126, small scale comp plan amendment, Nita Drive, Douglas Street.
We have a second. Everybody second? No second? I'll pass the gap and I'll second. I'll second the item so that we can take a vote. So, go ahead.
Okay. We got a motion and a second. We want a roll call on this.
Commissioner Pelletier,
No.
Commissioner Ayers,
No, ma'am.
Commissioner Davis,
No.
Commissioner Griggs,
Yes.
Mayor Henderson.
Yes.
Pass the government.
Thank you. So it fails and we will not do a second reading, correct?
Correct.
And
Number six.
that means we probably don't need to do number 6 either, correct?
Right, those are gonna be in tandem. Without the future ladies, you can't do
So we go ahead,
the rezoning.
so
So we've maintained its present land use, which is high density.
on the multifamily high density.
Yeah.
And we will go on to agenda item number 7, emergency ordinance for camping restrictions. City attorney, are you looking for? Yeah, that's right. You thought we did 6.
Okay, this one, so it's been a while, it's been a long time. This would be a, emergency ordinance at the request of the city manager and staff. So with, under the statutes, you can do an emergency ordinance. It'll be effective after one reading. So just so you know, if this is the first time you're seeing it, it will go into effect if it's passed tonight. When we do emergency ordinances, what we like to do is come back and actually adopt it the old-fashioned way. And so that's why you'll see the next item as the traditional first reading, second reading. But it's really the same thing, so that's why you have it done twice. But just so you guys know, if you do adopt this, it will go into effect immediately. So this is emergency ordinance number 1128, an emergency ordinance of the city of Callaway, Florida, amending the Callaway Code of Ordinances, Chapter 10, Article 1, offenses and miscellaneous provisions, prohibiting camping on private property, including definitions and penalties, repealing ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict therewith, and providing for severability and an effective date. And the change, as you can see, is just the one strike through in B, where it used to say, without the express permission of the property owner or tenant. That's gone away, and we did add the language that if, situated by the state for campgrounds, that's exempt as well. If you remember, we did this, 4 or 5 years ago. Kind of the discussion was, well, what if you want your son or daughter to camp in your backyard? So that's what we kind of did that carve out about with express permission of a property owner. Apparently there's an emergency situation where you do have a family member or owner allowing this to go on. It's gotten out of control to the point where it's a health and safety risk. So just so the public's aware, we're not going to be using this unless it's a major code and health safety risk to go and prevent somebody from camping with their kids in their backyard. This is for, you might have an owner that gives permission, it becomes an encampment. So that's why we wanted to take out that carve out that's in the red on an emergency basis. But just so everybody's aware, we're not going to be going out there again unless you're a life, health, and safety risk and starting a bonfire with your kids in the backyard and getting out of control. That's not the point of this emergency.
Anybody have any questions or
I
comments?
just wanted to clarify that because I did get an email on that, on a note. What happens if I want to, my grandchildren come over the weekend and I want to camp in my backyard, put the tent up for the weekend? And I had discussion with Attorney Obos on that, and that's not what we're trying to do here.
Right. We're trying to eliminate unregulated encampments that are, but you might have, oh, well, my aunt owns this property and it's a vacant lot, and
Right.
well, I have permission, so now the sheriff office can't do anything, code can't do anything. I'm trying to eliminate that.
Well, a few years ago, when we changed the ordinance, because very honestly, the sheriff's department couldn't even go on the property.
Right.
You could see a tent out there, but they couldn't even go on the property. So we changed it to allow them to go on the property. If they didn't, people didn't have permission, then the sheriff's department could take all that. What we have in this particular case is we have somebody that the property owners given them permission to trash, no, I wouldn't say camp, they're trash out there. And, the sheriff department tried to do something with it and then realized that we were restricted because of this, the way we had the ordinance written, just allowing the camper as the person and the individual that is not even a current resident that's owns that property, allow these people to camp out, if you will. And they're camping out because the trailer that was on there was repossessed and all that kind of good stuff. So not to get into all the detail, but very honestly, they were doing what we don't allow, shouldn't allow. And that's what this is to correct that situation. And now the sheriff's department can go on, take care of business. Code enforcement can take care of business. So.
Anybody, any other comments from up here? And anybody in the audience wants to comment on this item?
The sheriff's office also wants to speak on this item. Either way you want to do it, Mayor, you're in charge.
No, if you wanted to come and
Yeah.
speak, come on.
Yes. I want to start with, thank you very much for what you're trying to do. But I want to let you know that Captain Brandon and I had looked at this. We didn't find out this was coming to the meeting till late yesterday afternoon. Once we pulled it up off the website, looked at it, it wasn't sent over to us. So we didn't have a chance to look at this before making the meeting. So we hate that we're causing a little bit of a ruckus here tonight. But we have some real concerns with this. We love the way it was written initially, where we had to get the owner's permission to do something on the property. We were advocates of getting that because it was very helpful and it was a great tool. But the way this thing's written now, you've got it where, and I know it's like skim over and let's push it on through. I say don't skim over it and push it on through. But what you're asking us to do is have an ordinance on file that you're going to have citizens wanting us to enforce. And there's going to another situation come up down the road and another situation come up down the road. It's not going to be this particular one you wanted to deal with. And if you start reading this thing, it says that it shall be unlawful for any person to camp, occupy camp facilities, or use or store camp paraphernalia on any private property within the city limits of Callaway. Well, that's cool. But if you go back and read your definition of those things, if you unpack a box over there for that you received a package in today and throw it on your property and somebody complains about it, they're going to want to sign a complaint against you for violating this ordinance on your own property because you got a big box there that you could sleep in because now you're storing paraphernalia on your own property. That's, whenever you take a look at the way things are done, the Supreme Court ruled last year that you could, as a government organization, keep people from camping on public property. Okay? It says public property. There was nothing to do with private property on that. Whenever the governor passed the law last year that kept people from, and I don't mean to be forceful, I know I talk loud all the time. I'm just explaining. Whenever the governor passed that law last year that said, hey, if you don't do it, you're going to get sued, but it was only on public property. It wasn't on private property. And if you look at chapter 162, it talks about code enforcement and how the cities are supposed to use the code enforcement to regulate land use. And so we're talking about regulating land use by using a statute and we have concerns with this. We have some real concerns about us enforcing it by this. We like it like it's written, Because if somebody has somebody on their property, they didn't give them permission, they didn't want somebody tearing their property up, right, acting on that owner's behalf. But if there are kids in the backyard and one of our deputies goes up there that's just started and all of a sudden he goes, well, yeah, he's camping on this property. And the city said, we don't even have to have permission. He's a little aggravating, so we're gonna put him in jail anyway. And they locked him up, and then where are we at civilly, for taking somebody off their own piece of property, for setting up a tarp in the backyard with a lantern and letting their kids pass. I know you say we're not gonna use it this way, and I know we would love to have a lot more power than we do, but in this case, I think we're taking some power away from property owners and giving us power that we shouldn't have. And so we think we would like you to leave it as it is. We would like you to consider maybe some other additional ordinances to keep people from camping on public property to go along with what the governor passed last year in the law. Maybe you want to take us looks at that, but I think you still should use the 162 and go through your land use ordinances and use the civil process like the law was set up to do in order to take care of the situations. Is the situation you're talking about a problem? It is. Should the people have to put up with it? They shouldn't. But you in fact have remedies. They just take longer than you want to go through. Anybody have any questions or comments?
Well, you just cleared up what I talked about, that email and the citizen, and we said we're not gonna enforce that, but you're telling me that if the neighbor calls on that neighbor, then you guys gotta act because of this.
Or if they just want to sign a complaint on it and they give us a fit, we'll sign the complaint. Will the state attorney's office prosecute it? I don't know.
Right.
But that's not up to me, but my job's to, hey, if you want to sign a complaint, it's a violation, let you sign a complaint.
Because of the way this
somebody's got
ordinance
to
is
defend
written.
herself against this ordinance.
Because the way this is written.
If you write it, and it's law,
Yeah.
then it's law. And then you don't get to say how it's done after you write it down there.
Right,
That's up to a law enforcement officer. We would rather not give every law enforcement officer that power.
We've done told them, don't worry about that. That's not what the intent of this is,
Yeah.
but
You probably won't hear very many law enforcement officers say we don't want that power, but we don't. I mean, we're citizens too, and we wouldn't want our family mistreated. I hope I know I'm causing some problems because I know the situation you want dealt with. I think this is the wrong way to do it. I wish we'd been asked ahead of time.
I'd like to table this, ma'am. Mayor.
Okay, we'll go ahead and
Thank you.
And we also write a civil table item 8,
Yeah.
which is the policy. Okay. So we'll meeting. And we'll go on to agenda item number 9, resolution number 25-14. Initial assessment resolution for nuisance related to assessment. I'll let you make those notes.
As you know, unfortunately every year, but it's starting to slow down a little bit, which is good. We do the clean and leans throughout the year, for nuisance abatement. Properties, we go and tear a house down or whatever, put a lien on it. And the ones that have not been paid, throughout the budget year, we get to this point and we do a special assessment to put it on the tax bill for those unpaid ones. And so we do that by doing an initial resolution and then come back, over the time of our first budget hearing and do which will be the same this year, and do a final one to approve it, actually put it on the tax bill for these particular properties. And so the good news is we're down to only 2 properties that have been paid throughout the year. So this is the first step. This is the initial assessment resolution, resolution 2514, a resolution of the City Commission of Callaway, Florida, relating to the delivery of nuisance abatement related services within the city, providing for nuisance abatement assessments within the city's municipal boundaries, estimating the service costs to provide nuisance abatement related services and programs, establishing the method of assessing the nuisance abatement related service costs against real property specially benefited, directing the city manager to prepare a preliminary nuisance abatement assessment roll, establishing a public hearing to consider imposition of the proposed nuisance abatement assessments, directing the provision of notice in connection therewith, and providing an effective date. And you can see, I think if you kind of fast forward to page 4, the 2 properties, and so they will get a mail notice just these two properties. You get mail notice and it'll appear on their trim that comes to the mail at the end of the month. And if it's not paid by, well, obviously if you guys adopt this in September, I think we set the hearing for, what is that, Thursday, September 4th, we're doing budget. It'll be adopted then, and if it's not paid, it'll go out on their November 1 tax bill.
Anybody have any questions on that?
I have some comments. That Oak Ridge property is a property we want to purchase, right? And if there's a cloud on that, we're gonna go in and clean this property out with this abatement, correct?
We've already done it.
It's already been done. We've already cleaned it, so there's already.
Talking about that initial building?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
The 3D.
Not overgrown.
Right, yeah, we've already got a lien on that property, it has
Right,
that's fine. It'll go on the tax bill, which probably get paid.
Right.
This is taking the liens and putting them on the tax.
Right, okay.
Anything else?
No.
Okay, anybody else have any questions or comments? No? Did anybody in the audience want to comment on this item? Not seeing anybody, would someone like to make a motion?
Motion to approve resolution number 2514, initial assessment, resolution for nuisance abatement assessment.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second. If there's no discussion, city clerk?
Commissioner Pelletier,
Yes.
Commissioner Ayers,
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Davis,
Yes.
Commissioner Briggs,
Yes.
Mayor Henderson.
Yes. On to item 10, resolution 25-15, personnel manual update, city manager.
Already the resolution.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Resolution 25-15, a resolution of the City of Callaway Commission revising the City of Callaway Personnel Manual, Section 6.15, group insurance, and 15-06, phones and personal cell phones, repealing all ordinances and parts thereof which are in conflict herewith, and providing an effective date.
Okay, yes,
As we all know, the personnel manual is a living document. At the budget workshop, we adjusted the percentage of the city pays for employees' health insurance premiums. This resolution creates the ability for commissions to change the percentage as the budget allows in the future, so we don't have to go back and do this. And also, our current cell phone policy is inadequate, and this just replaces the policy in its entirety.
okay. Anybody have any questions for city manager or comments on this item? No. Anybody? No. Would anybody in the audience like to comment? Seeing nobody? So would someone like to make a motion?
Motion to approve resolution 2515, personnel manual update.
Second.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion? If not, city clerk?
Commissioner Ayers,
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Davis,
Yes.
Commissioner Briggs,
Yes.
Commissioner Pelletier,
Yes.
Mayor Henderson.
Yes. Okay, we'll move on to item number 11. Resolution number 25-16, setting a public hearing date to consider plan development of Foxland. Parcel ID. Go ahead, Steve.
This is resolution 25-16, a resolution of the City of Callaway, Florida, setting a public hearing and review of the proposed Fox Glen Phase 2 plan development zoning application for August 26, 2025. And so just the way our code is written, you remember Fox Glen, we had to wind up asked them to break it up into a Phase 1 and Phase 2 because of that annexation issue, which has all since been resolved. But basically, we went through this a couple of years ago on Phase 1. So now, since that annexation has been resolved, they're ready to move forward with Phase 2 and bring it into that PD zoning. The way our code's written, we have to do this resolution to announce that we're gonna have a hearing to consider the PD zoning. So they've already submitted everything. Bill's given it to us. I've given the clerk the ordinance, has the packet with sort of the narrative, but it all basically mirrors what we did on Phase 1. We just couldn't do it all at once 4 years ago because of the enclave that was in the middle.
This will then be one development.
So basically, phase 1 and phase 2 will all be part of the same PD zoning, plan development zoning, when it's all done. So we'll bring the ordinance back at the next meeting. But just because our code says we actually have to do a resolution first, announcing the consideration of PD zoning.
So instead of 2 individual pieces,
it's still 2 parcel IDs, but it'll be phase 1 and phase 2 of the same development. And it'll have the same zoning, which is a planned development zoning, as opposed to.
I'm going to total acreage, but that makes a difference on
I think this phase 2 is like 8
You know what I'm talking about?
A little over 8 acres for phase 2. We already have phase 1 in, and phase 2 is already zoned as PD zoning, so it's just gonna make it consistent with the phase 1.
Okay.
This just simply announces that we're doing it.
It'll make a difference on the size of the family center.
Yeah.
Well, Bill?
It's not gonna consider.
Was it the percentage of the?
It's under the same PD, but it's still gonna roll as 2 separate parcels, correct?
Yeah. They still have a development order process to go through.
Okay. We'll see.
We'll get it. We're just trying to get, this is the first step to get phase 2 zoned on property. Right. We're just setting a date.
Nothing else, just 7 days. So does anybody have any other questions about 7 days? If anybody in the audience wants to comment about this, because all this is setting a date, and we'll talk about it at the next meeting. Seeing anybody, would someone like to make a motion?
Motion to approve resolution number 2516, setting a public hearing date to consider planned development of Fox Glen parcel ID 06006-030-000.
And we have a second.
So,
Okay, we've got a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion? If not,
What's the date?
the next.
the next meeting.
Next commission.
So we'll bring
August
the
26th.
we'll bring the zoning ordinance back.
April 26.
Yeah, at our next
Okay.
meeting.
It'll be an ordinance in which we read. So we first read.
Okay, anything else before we vote? Okay, city clerk, go ahead.
Commissioner Davis?
Yes.
Commissioner Gray?
Yes.
Commissioner Pelletier?
Yes.
Commissioner Ayers?
Yes, ma'am.
Mayor Henderson?
Yes. Okay, we'll go to item number 12. Development order application, Grand Oak subdivision, 2 parcel ID. We actually don't have to have you read it, you're getting a order tonight. Okay, this will just be city manager, Mr. Fry.
This is probably the coolest thing we have tonight, which is gonna be 36 single-family houses. Small cul-de-sac subdivision, over the next, pretty close to Walmart, almost across the River Woods. Meets all of our requirements in our land development regulations, including open space requirements. They do have a walking track around their stormwater pond. They're not allowed to use the stormwater pond itself, but the berm around it for a walking track is allowed, along with an open space down at the end of the cul-de-sac. It's a pretty simple design. We already have water and sewer mostly available. Got the cul-de-sac, 36 houses. Sean McNeil is here, along with the developer, owner of the property, Mr. Steele. If you have any questions, we'll be happy to answer them.
Anybody have questions?
There's a lot of parks. We've got a park right across the street. And one we're planning. Nice development.
Yeah.
R6.
They were in for the changes in the plat laws now. This will be the last time, so hopefully they get it all done and then get it platted administratively. Okay, thanks.
Nobody has any questions on that? Nobody? Would anybody in the audience like to comment? On this development order? I'm not seeing anybody, everybody's quiet. Would someone like to make a motion? I don't know.
Motion to approve development order for Grand Oak subdivision.
Second.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second. Any other discussion? If not, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. And we will go on to agenda item number 13, capital purchase for asphalt drum water. Mr. Cook.
During the budget workshop, staff was directed to go ahead, if we could find the money, we could purchase the asphalt drum roller this year based on the quote of $27,750. Our illustrious finance director has found the money, and we would just like to do some transfers around to cover the cost.
How many quotes did you get? Just one?
There's two quotes attached.
Yeah, there were two quotes, yeah.
I'm sorry.
There's two quotes attached, one for 27, one for 46.
Oh, 46.
We want to make sure we have a place that we are not.
Yeah, the problem with state contracts is that for the one would take forever. They don't have one, correct? We don't have a roller right now.
They could be on a source well contract, actually. I'm not sure. I'd have to double check and see.
And maintenance is here local, right?
Correct.
So one was 46 and one was 27. Crazy. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Does anybody have any comment? If not, would anybody in the audience like to comment on the city getting the asphalt roller? Nobody comment on that, so would somebody like to make a motion?
Just to clarify, the one that we had was extremely old, it broke down, there are no parts.
You can't use it, correct?
No.
Yeah. So you can't even sell it.
We'll try to sell it.
Yeah. Somebody
We try to sell it.
I mean, between the bearings and the shafts and all that, but it's, I mean, somebody individually can do it. So it has been.
I'll make a motion to purchase the asphalt drum roller.
Second.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second. Is there any more discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we'll go to item 14. Capital purchase for security systems. Mr. Cook.
At the budget meeting, we also discussed that we were adding cameras due to the vandalism at various parks. Once again, we went through and this is going to be an expansion of our current security system that we use at, I think, 3 of our buildings. Yes, at 3, actually 4 locations, but at three locations, 4 buildings. And this is just an expansion so that we can monitor the parks due to the amount of vandalism. And we did locate it in our budget. We moved, and this is, once again, we're just moving excess money as we get down to the bottom. We'll take $100 from every place we can just to make it work. We'll get there.
I have a couple of questions, just one question really. The print's so small I can't read it. I didn't bring my name in my class, which is my problem. What kind of backup drive do we have in each location?
It's a several terabyte drive. Which adds up to that.
1 terabyte or 2
I'm not sure what the amount is, but I know we can go back up to over a month.
30 days? That's good. Yeah.
And probably at the parks will be even more because it's based on the
Right,
amount of
motion.
Yeah, on motion.
Okay. So really out here when the gate's locked, there will be no motion other than, all right, hopefully no motion anyways. And the camera's gonna be night vision?
Everything's lit. It's lighted.
It's not lit to go far.
Around the buildings. No, they're not. Jim?
Should we consider that?
It will be night vision, there are 4 cameras, yeah.
Oh, okay.
So
I stand correct.
night vision and color or black and white? Color, all right, good. Yeah. Or even black. Yeah, good.
Be great. Green black.
Yeah, to me, if you're gonna do this, you should get the camera that are night vision, even though if you got light around the building, but you still really need that night vision.
From what he said, they were not clear.
Yeah,
Outstanding, correct.
Yep,
that's all the questions I have.
okay, anybody else, question or comment? Would anybody in the audience like to comment on security cameras? Yes, sir.
We're gonna catch you, listen.
Do what?
I'm gonna catch you.
Paul Bohack, 7010 Mike Lane. You're gonna install security cameras. Have you conferred with local law enforcement to confirm that those cameras will be adequate to ensure the likelihood of successful prosecution should nefarious actions be captured on those cameras and therefore subject to prosecution subsequent to such video capturing? Because I would hate to think that you would install a camera to be able to observe such action and then not be able to take legal action afterwards.
These are high resolution cameras.
That's not what I am.
We can zoom in on a face.
That's not
You
what
may
I
have my
am.
property, just let me
That's
find you.
not what I am.
That's a question for you.
Actually, I can clear that up, or I'll come on up there.
That's what I am. Thank you.
These were actually, we've had some activity go on at the parks, and it was actually at our request, talking with Tim. Tim's always so willing to help us. He got the ball rolling on this and is working on getting these installed, because we could have taken care of some situations we felt if we'd had some video. Now, yeah, of course, Tim and I talked, you can't video inside bathrooms, you can't do, we know about all that. But if we can know who's coming and going from those areas, or we're having damages in our parks, and we can use that to go back and solve some of these crimes, give us some time periods to look at. It'll help us gather some more information. Are we gonna solve everything? We're still not. But it'll help us do a whole lot better job. Tim was working along with us to make this request, and we appreciate Tim
So
very
you're
much.
good with it?
We're good.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Bohack.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Told you.
Did anybody else want to comment on the cameras? Okay, not seeing anybody, would someone like to make a motion?
Make a motion to purchase security cameras at various locations.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second. There's no further discussion. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. We'll go on to item 15. Budget amendment, maintenance shop, electric transfer switch. City manager.
The maintenance shop is considered a critical asset during disaster response. The city attempted to acquire funding to add a transfer switch and a generator using HMG funds, but it was denied. As we prepare for an active hurricane season, our maintenance shop would be unusable if there was power loss. We've received proposals to add a manual transfer switch to the building that will cover the maintenance shop and the fueling station also for $19,885. We will repurpose our portable 40K generator to power the building, and it is a necessity for disaster preparedness.
Anybody have a question or comment?
Gotta have it.
Which budget will this go?
This budget.
This year?
Yeah.
Are we currently using the 40K for any purpose?
Not currently, no.
Well, the reason I started with that question is because we brought it up before that, are they maintaining that, since we're not really using it? They need to be maintained, they need to be operational. And I've asked the question before, and just said that, well, they are maintaining it, they are making sure it's operational, et cetera, et cetera. That really doesn't tell me anything. But, I'll use my own generators as an example. My generators, if I don't crank them up and run them at least once a month, then I can't depend on the next month or 2 months from there or 3 months. And I went through a period which I didn't do it for about 6 months. And I had to go in and rebuild the carburetors, you know, because I wouldn't do it.
Yeah, the fuel.
That's what I'm saying, is there a record? You know, I don't really want to see it, I just want you to see it, that there's a record that those generators are being maintained.
I can verify it was started up and it was running and it was tested and it was great.
Okay. Next month, do the same thing.
Right,
It's actually it's on a rotation. It is on a rotation and it is tested.
rotating monthly or?
Yeah, yes, yeah. All of our generators, even, you know, the ones that we just have installed, of course, they're auto runs.
Right.
So they test themselves every week. But,
That's entirely different system.
yeah. But yeah, all of our generators, we do it even with our other generators and our new one that we use for lift stations, they are constantly tested.
Right.
Okay. And this is an older one, but we do actually have 2 people on staff that are very familiar with it. And I watched them fire it the other day. I did give them warning I was coming.
Asked you about it the other day too.
Anybody have any other question or comment?
And I have brand new batteries in the house.
Well, that's the other thing that'll fail.
Did anybody in the audience want to comment on the transfer switch? No. Okay, gentlemen, we need a motion.
Motion to approve budget amendment, maintenance shop electrical transfer switch. Second.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second. If there's no other discussion, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. We go to item 16. Florida Auction Network Consignment Agreement for fiscal year 25-26. City Attorney, City Manager.
We do this every year, Florida Auction Network. We use them for our surplus items. Cost of the service is 5% of the sale price, and they provide all the other services that come along with it. They are local to Bay County. They provide services to multiple other cities, including the sheriff's office. This is agreement for 1 year renewable annually.
And the terms stay the same year, the 5% consistent.
We've actually done extremely well. Way better than we did when we were with, what was that old Gov Deals?
Okay, anybody have any questions? Any comments? Did anybody in the audience want to make any comments about the Florida Auction Network consignment agreement? Nope. So it's back to us for a motion.
Motion to approve the contract renewal for Florida Auction Network. Second.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second. If there's no other discussion, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. We'll go on to item 17. Bay County Sheriff's Office Law Enforcement Service Agreement. City Manager.
The city's current agreement for law enforcement services with Bay County Sheriff's Office will expire September 30th. The agreement presented for commission consideration reflects a 5% increase over last year. This agreement will be for 1 year with a 1 year renewal, and that 1 year renewal for next year will be at a 5% increase also. And it is what we have in the budget.
And another question came up at one of our budget workshops about the number of officers, and it does say 19.
19, yes.
We did verify that.
Anybody have any comment or question about the law enforcement agreement? This is the same agreement that we have.
Same one.
No comment or question from anybody? Did anybody in the audience put a comment on the law enforcement service agreement? I still contend that we have the best police department in the county with the sheriff's officer. Nobody wants to comment? Someone wants to make a motion?
Motion to approve the sheriff's office law enforcement service agreement.
Second.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That went much smoother than it did in a previous That brings us to the end. I can't believe it, but that agenda is 7:25. So we will go on to commission comments. I had just a couple things. It's been a busy couple of weeks. I've been representing the city at a lot of Tyndall events over the past couple of weeks. And we did a great job for our health fair this, I guess not this past Saturday, but the one before. But I don't think we have a final count. Is Tim still, yeah, we didn't have a count on how many people came through, did we?
I didn't get that.
But it was a lot. Between the health fair, and I know there were some people that came and looked at the cards and didn't even come inside to do the health fair. But I know there was a large number of people, and if it's okay that I say, the Bill Fuquay from People's South Bank is the one that organized the car show, and they were raising money for our Callaway Youth Leagues, and I was told that they gave a check for $2,000 to our Callaway Youth League, so we appreciate that. I know the youth leagues appreciate the support. But if you missed it, you missed a lot of good information. I know most of the commission was there, so we appreciate it. We look forward to next year. I know you're probably getting started on it already, Jim. And last night, several of us attended the Bay County League of Cities meeting. Jared Perdue, who is the Secretary of the Florida Department of Transportation, was our speaker. And I can tell you, I know City Manager and I both hit him hard about Highway 22 and getting funding for Highway 22. So we're trying. We're pushing it, but I know I hit him up before the meeting, and he got him after the meeting, and we talked about the different issues, and that's one thing that was helpful with Captain Branning doing the report on the traffic crashes, because I pointed out to him that intersection there at Tyndall Parkway and 22 is our highest incident of traffic crashes in Callaway, and it's because we have 2 lanes going into one, so if they go ahead and do the widening, that would solve that problem. I mentioned the flooding, I mentioned the school, and then city manager hit him up about something, so we're trying. I told him anything the city can do or the TPO can do, please let us know and we'll do what we can. So we're trying.
We're still number 1 on the 96.
That's right, we're up there as a top priority. And he did ask me that, so, and he is local, he's from Bay County, so that can't hurt. So, Commissioner Davis, we'll start with you.
Most of my item was deferred. One question was, did we get a scoping back on that sewer line that was?
No.
Oh. Well, I'll defer mine to your comments for updates.
Commissioner Briggs.
Just to build a little bit, on the 27th, we're gonna have the 27th of August, the TPO. And what the mayor just went through concerning Highway 22 is what we'll be hitting again on the 27th. And in the meantime, we're very concerned about even what we saw yesterday related to the school and the traffic and all that's involved there. So we're involved with with the school and the Queen related to the school side of it.
There's some plans out there if there's an agreement to buy various properties and do various things. There's a way to help alleviate that. And we're working on that. It's not gonna happen tomorrow. It's not gonna happen on the 27th. But, it will eventually happen because it's gonna have to. And there's question concerning sidewalks. Anyway, we'll be raising multiple questions, related to the safety, as related to kids in the school, and even the busing situation. We'll be bringing that up as well, because if you can't bus a child within that 2-mile limit of the school, which is the regulation now, how is that child gonna get there? They're either gonna be walking, they're gonna need a sidewalk, or they're gonna be driven by the parents, and therefore we have that traffic. So there's a bunch of combination issues here that I'm just throwing out to let everybody know there's nothing simple about solutions to so many of these problems. And I'll wait for the updates.
Okay, that's it.
I'll wait for the update.
Commissioner Ayers?
Yes, ma'am. I attended the Bay County Chamber of Commerce. They had a after-hours meeting today over in Parker, the new apartments that are right next to the bridge. They look really great. League of Cities last night, we attended that. I also talked to Jared Purdue, our secretary, and Tim Smith, our local representative. And they seem to think we may be able to get some of our canceled grants back. So that's one of the things I mentioned to Eddie. He went over and talked to me about it. Of course, attended FSU First Friday. City manager and I did tour the city today and looked over all the different projects and the issues we've had over the past week, and attended the health fair. Thanks.
Hey, City Clerk, do you have anything for us? Okay, City Attorney?
Well, I sent you guys an email today. I know the issue came up a couple weeks ago about that City of Miami case about moving the election dates, and I kind of suspected that was the case when we researched it, and that is the case. It doesn't affect Callaway. Miami-Dade is a charter county, so they have the exclusive means of amending their charter, whereas Callaway, Bay County is not a charter county, but Callaway, our charter does not provide any exclusive means, so we can rely on the state statute that allows it to be amended by ordinance, as opposed to, again, 99% of your charter amendments need to be by referendum. Maybe the election date is one of those that is exempted by statute, and we can rely on it because we're not the charter. We're not Miami-Dade. So we're good to go.
Okay, thank you. Okay, City Manager, you're up.
Oh, fun. We did open up the trash bids today. How many do we have? We had 3 bids today. We have not had time to go through those and evaluate them, but as soon as we get more information, we'll get that out. Cherry Street, been meetings for the last week and a half with FPL and TICO are working to figure out the movement of last two locations. The utility plan, we have another meeting tomorrow, and hopefully utility plans will be up and ready to go. And then we can go ahead and start planning the construction side of it, which they have a plan, it's just after they get these last two. Sandy Creek Sewer, we finally have got movement. We have a meeting with the Corps on Thursday concerning that project. We need to get them to sign off with the environmental side so we can go ahead and start that. Hugh Thomas North up here, you've seen that's currently under construction. The roundabout, the fiber has been ordered. It's supposed to be in the next 2 weeks. And they said that within 6 weeks, they'll be out of the way and we'll start construction on that. I did talk with Roberts & Roberts, who has a contract for that. They're currently starting a project right now that's going to take them 6 weeks. And so that's going to fall right in with them. They'll be able to move right in after the fiber gets done, and we'll start construction in about 6 weeks on the roundabout. Boat race, that project is done. We're in the closeout section of that right now. The medium project, that's in closeout also. Tim, have we finished that up?
Yes.
Are we satisfied?
Yes.
Okay, so we'll be taking over that. we did take a little bit longer doing that because Tim and his crew, especially our irrigation specialists, have been out there and made sure that we do every little thing to fine tune everything so that when we take it over, it'll be seamless.
You know, we're not watering the streets at night,
We don't plan on it.
We cut it way back.
so we're still watering the highway.
Well, we haven't ran any in quite a while.
But no, we should not be watering streets unless you have a high wind that blows it over. Yeah. I would like to report that, we talked about the homestead issues with water accounts. The mayor, myself, and utility billing, we went and we met with Dan Sal with the property appraiser's office and his fraud department. We've established a procedure now. We went back a year and we turned all of those in.
Good.
We did get a response back from them that half of them that we turned in actually were going to be moved into their fraud division.
Good.
For people that are basically, they're pulling a homestead exemption, but yet they're renting their house out, which is that. The two major things that we learned is that if you're a deployed military, you can keep your homestead and rent it out if you're deployed somewhere else. Or I think if you're disabled vet, you can do that also. So, and that's what we have a lot of. What our new procedure going forward is, we modified when we open up new accounts that we are checking that homestead exemption. And if it's checked and they're presenting us with a lease, then all of those get copied. We put them in a box and once a week we send it to their fraud division. So that's what we'll be doing from this point forward.
Just by the way, 100% disabled vet doesn't pay alcohol.
So, all that being said, they did say they can go back up to 10 years. Putting that right now.
They can go back 10 years and collect.
They can go back 10 years and collect with penalties.
I like that.
We'll get our portion of that back. So,
They were thrilled.
yeah.
But we're just going back 1 year, or we're gonna pursue that some more.
I don't know that we'll be able to. We have been modifying our procedures all the time, so we have to make sure that we can do it. But we did go back for a full year.
Well, the key is we're going forward and we're gonna do it when it happens.
Yeah, we were able to go back for a full year without any issues. And now, we'll continue to look at closeout, when people have their water turned off. So we'll check that for collections and stuff like that. And we'll be checking those and monitoring those. But all new accounts are monitored completely. So we'll get them on the front end and the back end. Rescue 19 is outside. Yeah. Y'all hadn't had a chance. Still out there, Chief?
No, they went back home.
Is it 19 or 16?
19.
I got it right.
I thought it was Rescue 1.
I call it Rescue 1. I don't know where they come up with 19. They make up numbers for
Whatever
everything.
he calls, we'll be calling. We'll be calling.
Yeah.
That's Fighting 19, so that's Rescue 19. There you go. That's outside. If y'all want to look at it, when the meeting's over, please go out and take
It's
a look at
gone. He said he
What?
took it
It's
back.
gone.
it. It's gone?
It's back at the house.
It's back at the house.
Full fire alarm.
You couldn't drive it?
I got it.
Yeah. All right, well, it's gone now, so you can see it. Get it. Yeah. I do want to tell you all that back in early part of the year, we were reviewing hurricane plans, prep plans. Me and the chief and deputy chief, ACDC, assistant chief, Justin Crone, on ACDC. This plan we have been working on for well over 6 months. We're in the final stages of it right now. I don't think it's anything they have to adopt because it's internal procedures to how we handle preparedness, but it is well over 100 pages. And once we get this thing finalized, we're going to send it out to y'all so that y'all can see how we prepare and what we do during the 4 levels of activation. And so I'll get that out to y'all so we can finish it up. We're kind of pushing hard right now because we would really like to review the plan before we implement it. Aaron got a little scared sitting out there. So, but I did want y'all to get that out so y'all can see it. We're constantly reviewing our processes and procedures and preparedness.
That's a hard one.
Yeah, well, you're get a hard copy.
I know, I have to get out of the because I'm in there.
Yeah. And so we'll let y'all know how that goes, when we get that out, but it's a very good manual. This is actually the second one I've written like this. We're deciding how we wanna handle it, if we will look at doing a recovery. Recovery's so varying depending on what it is, but, we'll look at it. We'll see. But the preparedness plan is very in-depth. It does have requirements for ICS trainings for staff. They've got to take online classes to get there so they understand what we're doing and why we do it. It does mimic up with the county and also the state, so it's a very comprehensive plan across the board and what we do and what each department has to do, depending on what level of activation we're at. So I'll get that out to you as soon as we finish it up. In fact, Commissioner Pelletier, I think it was your wife that asked one day, "Are you prepared for a hurricane?"
Yes.
It was. Fortunately, your whole entire staff has done it. So, but yeah, you can tell her we're
Just listen.
thick. It's very thick manual, but it's very simple. That's the great thing about it. And once you get over and look at it, you'll see the simplicity behind it and how it breaks apart. And it's not everybody has to know everything. It's you have your beginning, and then each department has their policies and procedures that roll through for each one. That's all I got.
A couple of things, Mayor, that city manager didn't cover. We haven't seen a copy of that water study. Are we close to sending it to us?
We had a final meeting last week. We if you remember, there was a whole lot of issues on what GIS said versus what was in the ground.
Right.
We went and we were digging up and doing everything. We had our last meeting, everything was submitted. We're waiting on the final draft right now.
Okay.
Once it comes in, we'll get that to you.
And Beacon Point, you've been talking to them. Obviously, they're not doing the grant, but is there any dates?
I apologize for not calling and getting an update before I came in here, but I will send y'all an email out tomorrow. I'll call Bill and see where he's at in his process to get that property cleaned up.
I would appreciate that. And then, last thing, Mayor, city manager, today, of course, our video froze again. Is there a way you can kind of take a look at, we have Lynn Haven, Parker, Mexico Beach, Panama City Beach, and Panama City, that's on YouTube. YouTube is free. We can do both, Can you take a look and see what it would take for us to go YouTube if commission agrees?
Sure. Yeah.
It seems to be a lot more efficient than what we have. Because all the other cities, I kind of look at what's going on in Lynn Haven and sometimes Parker, and it's all on YouTube, and it's a lot more efficient than what we're using. And you've got most of the municipalities in the county using YouTube. And certainly, I think the county does too. I don't know, can't remember.
Yeah. No, I just.
But you can kind of look at it.
Others, they put it on YouTube. I think the neighbors expressed today too.
Yeah, and what's good about YouTube, it's there. In other words, she doesn't have to back it up the next day, it's there, it's backed up automatically.
Yes, sir. Good morning. How you doing?
Did you cover everything? Anybody else? Any questions about? Good. Okay. We will go on to, we do our announcements. We do have a budget workshop scheduled for 1 o'clock next Tuesday afternoon, the 19th. There also is the potential for a planning board meeting. Does it look like there will be a meeting?
Maybe.
Okay, so there's still the potential, so it's not a no. It's a maybe, okay? So you can come for the afternoon and stay for the evening. Okay, August 21st, the Historical Society meeting. It's at the Community Center at Gore Park, 5:30 that evening. I think Ms. Robbins is going to do a talk about Civil War. So that might be interesting. You might want to make sure you come. August 26th is our next commission meeting here at 6 o'clock. And as Commissioner Griggs said, August 27th is our TPO meeting, that's at 3:30, and that's at the Transit Yard, it's just off of 11th Street at 11th and Massalina. And those are all the announcements I'm aware of. Does anybody know of anything else that's not listed? Can't think of anything. So we will go to public participation. So is there anybody that wants to speak about anything that we haven't discussed? Mr. Shanker?
No, that's okay. It's clear.
Ron Shanker, 5711 Kevin Circle, Callaway. I talked about these trucks on these certain streets. I just wonder if there's gonna be any enforcement on that, or how it's gonna be done. I mean, you know, I lived at my place, they're going on 21 years, and they're constantly speeding up and down the street, running the stop sign, and in all this almost 21 years, I've not seen or heard one ticket being issued. I see people running these stop signs every day and going 2 or 3 times the speed limit, and they talk about all these miles they patrol, you know, well, they're patrolling darn few miles down my street, I'll tell you that. I'd like to see a little bit more enforcement, you know, park a car down there, let them know that, you know, somebody's watching them, or do something, you know, put some additional signage up, you know, put it out there in the street, right, stop, you know, maybe that'll soak in on some of them. But, you know, I talked to the neighbor the other day, and she looked and said, they speed through that all the time. You know, I mean, it's just, they got a real bunch of nuts down there in those apartments. That's what you get when you concentrate a bunch of people together, a certain bunch of them's nuts. And, you know, when you concentrate them together, why, that benefits the neighborhood then. You know, they're right there where they can just do their thing. And I'm really disappointed at, you know, what goes on there. I very seldom ever see a police car down through there. They're to break up something, or, you know, it's no kind of traffic enforcement. And, you know, why we have these stop signs and stuff if nobody's going to enforce that? I mean, it gets really disgusting. I think, you know, the commission should be able to figure out where these stop signs and stuff. A little bit too much government in Tallahassee wants to poke their nose in and make it difficult. I trust you people to figure out where we need stop signs and get some enforcement on it, but that's all I got.
Okay, thank you, Mr.
Probably had too much.
City manager, could we get Deputy Martin down there in his area, please?
I've already made a note of it.
All right, thank you.
Okay, who else wanted to speak? Yes, sir?
Waterways, estuary, it's important. We need to find a way to spend that money, to get money to people that are understanding of these things. I don't have a degree in marine biology, but there's somebody sitting right here that has a degree in marine biology, so we should probably defer to the experts. So I get it, the budget, it's hard, 20 grand to give to them. And then also, you know, there was some talk of, you know, what are they doing specifically for Callaway? I get it. This is Callaway. You guys represent Callaway. We live in Callaway. But there are other people that don't live in Callaway that still do come to Callaway, and they might want to be nice here too with our waterways. Because, you know, just even driving just to this meeting, you cross the bridge right over here, there's a waterway. Over here, Sandy Creek, there's a waterway. And all of that stuff, especially if, you know, like there was some discussion about cattle and how cattle affects the water, and a lot of people don't understand. There's a huge cattle farm right here. So if you go to Publix and you get beef, the beef that you're eating comes from this cattle farm right here. And the other ones too, but they have, you just go on the USDA, Department of Agriculture website, and it'll tell you how many thousands of cattle are right here. Like literally right here, you know, if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, but just go down Sandy Creek, they bought all that land after the paper mill closed. So it's important. I get in the water. My neighbor gets in the water. A lot of people here want to enjoy the water. And it's not about just us. we're all gonna be dead and gone someday, so the United States, you know, obviously our legacy, our kids or grandkids, you know, to be able to use that water, and not to mention that water does, you know, if you were to ask somebody that does have a degree in that, will try to tell you that water just affects more than just the water, you know, especially if you're talking about brackish water and the water gets pushed all the way back up in there. So yes, same thing when I'm talking about the cattle can get affected by things that are out there in the Gulf, because that waterway, Sandy Creek, gets pushed all the way up there, like right where the cattle is. So I want to eat good, healthy, clean food. I like a good steak, and it's all tied in together. So if we can come up with some way to help it out, whether it's sending money to them, to the experts, or just, you know, continuing to think about it and, you know, have something that we can enjoy that's beautiful and amazing. And we need to, I think that the taxpayers say, yeah, you know, you guys are harping, everybody's asking for money, every project has money, but like, we're not talking about like something that's unneeded, you know, take care of the water, it's an important thing. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else want to speak? Ms. Langston?
Teresa Langston, 6031 Main Street. I have a couple things that I want to mention. One of it is, I guess, the issue with Berkeley and Cherry Street that happened over the weekend and the lack of notifying citizens. I mean, it was on Facebook at 12:30. Really, a lot of the people were talking about how they were not notified of the intersection being closed and the issue that they were having. So I just want to mention that. I think that we could, you know, we have the texting that sends out all kinds of information when we have a boil water alert and all that stuff, that maybe that should be used, you know, if the intersection is closed. The second thing I want to mention, you know, he talks about taxpayers wanting the water and all that stuff. Well, taxpayers also want their roads fixed, and they want the sewer lines fixed, and they want their water lines fixed, and all that stuff. And to listen at the meetings, you know that the grants are lessening that we used to get, because, you know, we had a lot of grants that saved the taxpayers a lot of money with the stuff that was fixed and repaired and made very nice around Callaway. And then my last thing I want to mention is, I want to mention the goat farm on Wallace. I know I'm coming to you guys as a commission because we can't get animal control to do anything. You can't get the property owner to do anything about the animals that are sick. You know, a goat walking around, well, I won't say they're walking around because they got two broken front legs. You know, two were hanging down to the ground dragging. Is there something that we can do? Can we get help? I know we're contracted with animal control. We do have a contract with animal control, but animal control doesn't seem to really want to do anything. And I mean, we just recently, one of our local rescues was posting about it again. They've gone to the media. You know, it really does reflect bad, I think, poorly on Callaway when the officials won't even try to help do something about the sick animals. I mean, what are we teaching our kids that go there? I mean, people take their kids there to feed the goats, and they have for years. I think I was little whenever, you know, they were doing that. But, you know, definitely need some help from someone to get the homeowners or the property owners' attention. I mean, people have contacted the the property owners directly, and still can't get anything done. So if animal control won't do anything, and nobody else will do anything, well, who is? And the citizens are tired of looking at it and watching it happen.
Is that in the county or the city Partners?
That's Parker? No, it's in the city of Callaway. It's Parker, so it's
First time I'll be honest with you, first time I ever heard of it.
Yeah. You didn't know about the goat farm?
No, I know about the goat farm, but I didn't know there was a problem with it.
I mean, you want to see some pictures? I got pictures.
We believe you. Oh, no, I believe you. I'm just saying, this is the first time I heard.
I mean, Channel 7 did a news story on it a couple years ago. And it seems like they may straighten up a little bit, kind of, try to do something or say they're doing something and nothing is ever done. And here we want to clean up our waterways and stuff and do this and do that. What about our animals?
Who does that kind of stuff? It would seem like animals.
I'll look into it. I will. This is the first I've heard there were sick animals out there. I bet I know the attorney. You don't represent?
No. Oh, Sombrero.
Sombrero, that's right, you represent Sombrero. So
Yeah, we
just
got
for the record, Kevin has no
we got to repeat
representation.
Tom knows. Yeah, Harper's owns all that.
Anybody else that wanted to speak? I want to make sure I'm not missing anybody. But I don't see anybody else, so I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Look at this, I thought we'd be late last week.
Yes.